Road signs exist for a reason. They tell us where we can and can't go, what's safe and what's off limits. Without them, driving would be a guessing game. Boundaries serve the same purpose in life. Without them, it's easy to veer off course, or worse, crash with exhaustion. When others dictate your time and energy, you lose autonomy. You can run yourself into the ground, meeting endless demands. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. But here's the good news. You can take back control. What if you had clear road signs, ones that you create to guide your time and energy? Today, I'll walk you through a simple process to set boundaries to keep you on the right path. Find the full transcript and more resources for physician moms at inspiredmommds.com/51. You're listening to Inspired Mom MDs with host Cindy Van Prague, helping physician moms take back control and prioritize what matters most so they thrive in private practice and at home. Hi there, and thank you so much for joining me today. When I first realized I needed to set boundaries, I was a little overwhelmed. I could see the effect on my life from doing too much and overcommitting myself, but to say no sounded hard. It felt like it would take more energy to defend a boundary than just to go with the flow. But then I realized that it was faulty thinking. Holy cow, going with the flow is exhausting and compounds my energy loss. Then I changed my perspective about how to protect my time and energy. I thought of it as building a shield. This idea is much like the guardrails that you see on a highway. Those are shields too. They keep you safely on course. In this Chart Your True North series, I've been talking about the steps of a road trip towards what really matters most. This is a journey away from the illusion of having it all and towards a more authentic, value-driven life. The previous episodes talked first about setting your destination for your journey, which is determined by your values and what you love and dream about in life. And then last week, I talked about fueling up by prioritizing your self-care in this demanding world. Today, I'm going to talk about how to manage boundaries, which are the guardrails on your trip. This is your life, your road. You get to choose what type of guardrails you need to protect your energy and your priorities. You may already sense where you would like to add a boundary in your life, but you're not quite sure how to go about it. Keep in mind that they don't have to be all or nothing. You can set a small daily limit, or you can pull out a hard stop. There is a spectrum of saying no. On the small end of the spectrum are the micro boundaries that help you course correct throughout the day. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have the big boundaries that are your hard stops, like a big stop sign. First, micro boundaries are those little things that can be small or subtle that you use to prevent overwhelm in your daily life. They don't involve confronting other people per se, but they're more about setting limits to protect yourself. You may set limits with your phone, just like silencing notifications or a program for Do Not Disturb. I talked about trying a focus app on my phone last week, and I'm actually using it right now. Other small limits are things like planning small mental breaks between tasks or just getting your walk in before dinner. They are little adjustments that add up to big rewards, and these were covered also a bit in episode 50 last week. But now the big boundaries, the big stop signs yield the big reward right away. These are the non-negotiables that protect your values and well-being. These also require clear communication to set them with other people. An example is, I don't work weekends, or I don't answer texts or emails after 7 p.m. at night. Those are hard stops. Micro boundaries are like yield or speed limit signs. Big boundaries are like the dead end, must turn around signs. For the remainder of today's episode is about reinforcing and standing by your big decisions, your big limits. So how do you handle pushback on the non-negotiable limits? People will test your boundaries, and not necessarily out of malice, but because they haven't realized that those rules are non-negotiable. So how do you handle pushback? First, hold your ground. If a friend or colleague asks you to make an exception, just this once, will you do it? What would you say? I know I used to be tempted to people please in that moment because it felt like an argument would start, and I admit I preferred to avoid confrontation. I understand now that that thought process is wrong, that I need to be clear and concise and politely hold my ground. Now I may reply by saying, I wish I could, but I need to stick to my commitment. This is a simple, kind response that closes the door to negotiation. You may need to repeat yourself too, without being defensive. So what if you hold your ground and they keep pushing? For example, you said no to join an event, but they kept giving reasons why you should attend. One tactic is just repeat yourself that you're not able to make it. Simply state the fact without getting into an explanation. You don't need to be defensive. They will get the message eventually. Now you may think, this is someone I love and I really don't want to hurt them or offend them. Or maybe it's a coworker and you don't want to burn a bridge. You can still be kind while protecting important needs. With them, you can offer empathy and still not give in. Acknowledge their feelings. If this boundary caught them off guard, say so. If it's a change from your norm and they notice, admit that too. For example, I might say, I know this is something different, and I do really value your opinion or your invitation or your friendship, fill in the blank. I just need to honor this boundary for my well-being. And you're basically acknowledging what they're feeling, but restating without explaining. A logical next step would be to offer an alternative for this person you care about. No, or saying no, doesn't always mean shutting down someone, but it can mean opening up a possibility that works for both of you. Maybe you can't attend that event that they're begging you to join, but you can help by spreading the word. If you have a reasonable way to contribute, you can offer that as an alternative. This helps to maintain a relationship with that person while also honoring your limits. Now that you've clearly communicated your limits with kindness and perhaps empathy, don't feel the need to over-explain or feel guilty. Launching into reasons why there is a limit or the conditions of that limit invites a negotiation with them, and that is not necessary. Over-explaining may be like saying, I can't go to that event because I have so many things to do and there's just no time and I'm not sure how I'm going to schedule this in. Well, what if they offer help to schedule it in? And then what are you going to say? Instead, state the fact, I won't be able to make it, and be kind to them. You can say, but I do hope that it goes well and that you have fun. You don't owe people excuses. Setting limits isn't selfish either. It's about self-preservation. This is your road, your rules. So boundaries are the road signs that guide you on your journey to what truly matters. They keep you from detouring on something unaligned with your goals. And sometimes this will disappoint others when you stay true to yourself. And that's okay because the alternative is so much better. When you stay true to boundaries, you say yes to what is most important, like relationships and well-being and fostering joy. You uplift others as you navigate this world as your authentic self. You'll have more energy and less resentment. From the micro boundaries to the big boundaries, be prepared to stand your ground. You may have to clearly repeat yourself in a kind but firm manner and offer empathy along the way. You may want to offer manageable alternatives to help that person out who asks you a favor to maintain your relationship with them. And remember, there's no need to over-explain yourself or feel guilty about establishing limits. I hope to see you next week when I have an intermission in this series. I'm going to interview Dr. Christina Kraft. She's an integrated dentist and an all-around amazing person. It's going to be so much fun. Until then, take care of yourselves and take care of those who matter most. It's time to take control and thrive. Thank you for tuning in to Inspired Mom MDs. Please share with other physician moms and leave a review if you found value from this podcast.